My name is Ava Reynolds, and 5 years ago, I lost my entire family. Not in an accident. Not to time. Not even to distance. I lost them because of a lie. One lie. Carefully crafted, perfectly delivered. By the one person who knew exactly where to cut deepest. My sister, Chloe. You ever feel what it's like to be erased? Not ignored. Not misunderstood. Erased. Like, your voice doesn't matter. Your truth doesn't exist. Your entire life can be rewritten by someone else. And everyone just believes them. Before we get into this, please take a moment to like and subscribe. But only if this story truly resonates with you. And drop your location and local time in the comments. I want to know where you are right now. Now, let me take you back. 5 years ago, Chloe told my parents I dropped out of med school. She said I couldn't handle the pressure. Said I got involved with the wrong guy. Said I threw my future away. And the craziest part? She didn't even hesitate. But what broke me wasn't the lie. It was how easily my parents believed it. No questions. No calls. No, hey, is this true? Nothing. Just silence. Cold. Final. Absolute silence. My dad blocked my number first. My mom followed 2 days later. My emails? Unread. My messages? Ignored. My existence? Deleted. They didn't come to my graduation. Didn't show up on the biggest day of my life. Didn't even send a text. And my wedding? I walked down the aisle alone. No father's hand. No mother's smile. Just empty chairs where my family should have been. For 5 years. I wasn't their daughter. I was a story they told themselves. To make Chloe's life feel real. And then, life did something I never could. It forced the truth into the room. Last month. 2:47 a.m. I was on call at St. Mary's Trauma Center in Chicago. Rain hitting the windows. Sirens in the distance. That heavy, quiet tension hospitals get at night. Then my pager went off. Level 1 trauma. Female. Critical condition. I didn't think. I moved. Because that's what I do. That's who I became. After they lost me. The ER doors slammed open. Paramedics rushed in. Blood. Chaos. Shouting. BP dropping. Get 2 lines in. Where's the surgeon? I stepped forward. Ready. Focused. Cold. And then I saw her. My body froze. Just for a second. But it felt like time cracked open. On that stretcher. Barely breathing. Covered in blood. Was Chloe. My sister. The one who destroyed my life. And right behind her? My parents. My mom saw me first. Her eyes landed on my coat. Dr. Ava Reynolds. And I swear. I watched her entire world collapse in one heartbeat. Her hand flew to my dad's arm, tight, desperate, shaking. Like if she let go, reality would swallow her whole. My dad looked up next. And the way he stared at me. God. It wasn't recognition. It was shock. Like he was seeing someone who wasn't supposed to exist anymore. For 5 years. I had been nothing to them. And now? I was the one holding their daughter's life in my hands. Funny how life works, right? But before I tell you what I did next, you need to understand something. Because this moment in the ER, it wasn't the beginning. It was the consequence. The real story? It started years ago. At a dinner table in Columbus, Ohio. Where love wasn't equal. And silence said more than words ever could. There were 2 daughters in that house. But only one ever mattered. Chloe. Perfect. Loud. Effortless. The kind of girl who walked into a room and owned it without trying. People loved her. My parents worshipped her. Me? I was the background. The quiet one. The easy child. The one who never caused trouble. So no one ever looked twice. I wasn't difficult. I wasn't rebellious. I was just unseen. And trust me, there's a difference between being ignored and never being seen at all. I learned that early. Like the day I made it to the state science fair. The only kid from my school. I was proud. Nervous. Excited. That same weekend? Chloe had a play. Guess where my parents went? Yeah. I came home with a second-place medal. And my dad barely glanced at it. Nice, he said. That's it. No questions. No pride. No moment. That's when I understood something. If I wanted to matter, I'd have to become someone they couldn't ignore. And I did. God, I did. The day I got into Stanford Medical School. Everything changed. For the first time in my life. My father looked at me. Really looked at me. And said 5 words I had been starving to hear my entire life. 5 words. That meant everything. But what I didn't know then was that those 5 words were about to cost me everything. Because the moment Chloe realized the spotlight wasn't hers anymore, she didn't compete. She didn't try harder. She destroyed me. And the lie she told next? It wasn't just believable, it was bulletproof, and within 24 hours, I went from future doctor to the daughter my own family disowned. The day I got into Stanford Med. I remember everything. The envelope. The way my hands shook opening it. The way my heart pounded like it was trying to escape my chest. I read the word congratulations 3 times. Just to make sure it was real. For the first time in my life. I wasn't invisible. I mattered. My dad sat at the kitchen table, reading the letter slow, like he didn't trust it either. Then he looked up at me. Really looked at me. And said, "Maybe you'll actually make something of yourself." Not exactly warm. Not exactly proud. But to me, that was everything. My mom? She went full celebration mode. Calling relatives. Calling neighbors. Telling anyone who would listen. My daughter got into Stanford Med. Her voice had something I'd never heard before when it came to me. Pride. And for one small, fragile moment, I felt like I finally belonged. But across the table? Chloe was smiling. At least, her lips were. Her eyes? Cold. Sharp. Watching. Calculating. I didn't catch it back then. I wanted to believe she was happy for me. I wanted to believe. I finally had a sister. That week, she started calling me. A lot. Like, too much. Hey Ava, what classes you taking? Who's your roommate? Is it hard getting settled? Any cute guys in your program? At first, I thought it was sweet. Like, wow, she actually cares. She remembered everything I told her. Every detail. Every name. Every insecurity. I thought we were bonding. But looking back now? Nah. I was handing her ammunition. And smiling while I did it. Because here's the thing about Chloe. She didn't react emotionally. She reacted strategically. She didn't explode. Didn't fight. Didn't compete. She adapted. She studied me. Learned my world. Mapped out my life. Like she was planning something. And I let her. Because for the first time ever, I thought I wasn't alone. Fast forward 2 years. Third year of med school. That's when everything started falling apart. My best friend, Lily Carter. She was my person. No family. Foster system kid. Tough as hell. But she had the kind of heart that made you feel safe just being around her. When my own family barely picked up my calls, Lily was the one sitting on the floor with me at 2 a.m., quizzing anatomy terms like it was life or death. And then one day, it became exactly that. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. No warning. No mercy. I remember sitting in that hospital room, watching her try to smile through the pain. And I knew there was no way I was walking away from her. So I made a decision. One that would change everything. I went straight to the dean. Explained everything. Showed the medical reports. And they approved it. Official leave of absence. Fully documented. Spot secured for my return. Everything was legit. Everything was clean. Everything was handled the right way. I moved into Lily's apartment. Drove her to chemo. Held her hand when the pain got so bad she couldn't breathe. Stayed awake nights just to make sure she was still there. Still fighting. And yeah. I called Chloe. I don't even know why. Maybe. A part of me still believed she was on my side. I told her everything. About Lily. About the leave. About my plan to come back next semester. She got real quiet. Then soft. Too soft. Oh my God, Ava. I'm so sorry. Take all the time you need. I won't tell Mom and Dad. They'd just stress you out. And I remember feeling relieved. Grateful. Like. Finally. She's got me. 3 days later? She picked up the phone. And destroyed my life. What Chloe told my parents that night wasn't just a lie, it was a perfect story, complete with fake proof, and within minutes, everything I built started collapsing. I was sitting in a hospital room. Lights dim. Machines beeping. Lily asleep beside me, her breathing uneven, fragile. It was past midnight. I hadn't slept in 2 days. Then my phone lit up. Dad. I remember staring at the screen. Heart racing. Because something felt off. I picked up. Hello? No greeting. No warmth. Just. Ava, your sister told us everything. His voice? Cold. Flat. Like ice. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? A pause. Then. The dropping out. The boyfriend. The mess you've made of your life. For a second. I couldn't even process the words. Dad, what? That's not. She showed us the messages. Messages? What messages? She showed us proof. My hand pressed against the wall beside me just to stay upright. Dad, I'm literally in a hospital right now. I'm taking care of my friend. I took an official leave. Ava. The way he said my name? It wasn't my father. It was a verdict. Your sister said you'd have an excuse ready. Everything inside me went still. Like. I could feel it. Something breaking. Deep. Final. Put Mom on, I whispered. A second later, her voice came through. Shaking. But not with concern. With disappointment. How could you lie to us like this? That hurt more than anything. Mom, please just listen to me. I filed a leave of absence. I have paperwork. I can give you the dean's number. Enough. Dad again. Sharp. Final. Don't call this house again until you're ready to tell the truth. Click. That was it. 4 minutes. 12 seconds. That's how long it took for my parents to erase me from their lives. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't breathe. I just stood there. Phone still in my hand. Listening to nothing. On the other side of the curtain, Lily's 4 machine started beeping. Life. Still happening. Still moving. Even though mine had just stopped. 20 minutes later. A text came through. From Chloe. I'm sorry, Ava. I couldn't keep your secret anymore, broken heart. I stared at that message for a long time. And then I laughed. Not because it was funny. But because it was perfect. Clean. Convincing. Emotional. She didn't just lie. She built a narrative. And my parents? They didn't just believe it. They accepted it like it made sense. Like it fit who they thought I was. That's the part that destroyed me. Because it meant, deep down, they never really knew me at all. Or worse, they never wanted to. That night, I sat on the hospital floor. Back against the wall. Hands shaking. And I tried. God. I tried. Over the next 5 days, I called them 14 times. First few? Voicemail. Then. Blocked. My mom blocked me 2 days later. I sent emails. Short one. Long one. The long one had everything. Leave documents. Dean's contact. Hospital records. Proof. Truth. No reply. I wrote a letter. Handwritten. Mailed it priority. 5 days later? It came back. Unopened. My mom's handwriting on the envelope. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a decision. And Chloe? She didn't create it. She just gave them a reason to finally choose her. But losing my family wasn't the worst part. The worst part came a few weeks later, when the one person I had left stopped breathing in my arms. Lily died on a Sunday morning. Quiet. No drama. No last big speech. No miracle. Just a slow, steady beep. That suddenly went flat. And silence. Cold winter light slipped through the hospital window, landing across her face like it didn't know what had just happened. I was the only one in the room. No family rushing in. No hands to hold. No voices calling her name. Just me. I remember standing there, staring at the monitor, waiting for it to change. Waiting for someone to walk in and say, "Hey, we got her back." But no one came. Because this wasn't a movie. This was real. And in real life? Sometimes, people just disappear. Just like that. I didn't cry. Not then. Not because I wasn't broken. But because I had already cried everything out over the last 3 months. There was nothing left. I planned her funeral. 6 people showed up. 6. In a chapel that could hold 60. A nurse. 2 classmates. Someone from her past. And me. I stood at the front, reading a eulogy. 2 rows of empty chairs. Every word echoed. Every pause felt louder than the sentence before it. And in that moment, it hit me. I had no family. Not the one I was born into. Not the one I built. No one. That night, I went back to her apartment. Our apartment. Her coffee mug was still on the counter. Her jacket still hanging by the door. Like she was about to walk in any second and say, "Yo, why you look like that? We got exams to pass." I sat on the floor. Back against the couch. Just staring. And that's when I saw it. A book on the table. Gray's Anatomy. There was a sticky note inside. Yellow. Folded slightly at the corner. I opened it. Her handwriting. Messy, shaky, but still so her. Finish what you started, Ava. Become the doctor I know you are. And don't let anyone, especially your own blood, tell you who you are. I read it once. Then again. Then again. She wrote that knowing she wouldn't be there. Knowing I'd need it. That broke me. Because even in her last days, she believed in me more than my own family ever did. I closed my eyes. Took a breath. And in that moment, I had two choices. Break. Or build. Stay down. Or get up. Disappear. Or become someone the world couldn't ignore. I opened my laptop. Pulled up my re-enrollment form. My hands were shaking. My heart felt hollow. But I filled it out anyway. Because I wasn't doing it for my parents. Not for revenge. Not for validation. I was doing it for her. And for the version of me she saw when no one else did. I went back to med school in January. No support. No safety net. Just debt. Exhaustion. And pain I didn't talk about. I took extra shifts. Ate whatever I could afford. Studied like my life depended on it. Because honestly, it did. I stopped crying. And I started becoming. I thought the hardest part was over, but I had no idea, while I was rebuilding my life, Chloe wasn't done, she was still rewriting it behind my back. I went back to med school like nothing happened. No family. No emotional support. No one cheering me on. Just me. And a promise I made to someone who wasn't even alive anymore. I buried myself in work. Not in a healthy way. Not in a balanced life kind of way. Nah. I went all in. Classes. Clinical rotations. Night shifts. Research work. While everyone else had someone to call at the end of the day, I had silence. So I filled that silence with ambition. I studied until my eyes burned. Worked until my body ached. Pushed myself past every limit. Because stopping meant thinking. And thinking meant remembering. And remembering? That hurt too much. I graduated on time. Top of my class. Guess who didn't show up? Yeah. No calls. No messages. No "we're proud of you." Nothing. At that point, I stopped expecting it. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. You don't just lose people. You lose the version of yourself that needed them. And once that version is gone, you don't go back. I matched into a surgical residency in Chicago. One of the busiest trauma centers in the city. That's where I met Dr. Marcus Hayes. He was tough. Sharp. Didn't sugarcoat anything. But he saw something in me. Something real. He pushed me harder than anyone ever had. But he also stayed. And sometimes, that's all it takes. Over the years, he became more than a mentor. He became the closest thing I had to family. Then, during my third year of residency, I met Ethan Cole. Civil rights lawyer. Calm. Grounded. Smart. The kind of man who listens more than he speaks. The first person I told my whole story to. Without leaving anything out. I expected judgment. Or pity. Or advice. Instead, he just looked at me and said, "You deserved better." 4 words. And somehow, that was enough. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. Backyard. Simple. Ethan's father walked me down the aisle. I sent an invitation to my parents. It came back. Unopened. Just like the letter I sent years ago. Some things never change. Except me. Because I kept going. Years passed. I became someone. Even I didn't recognize. Confident. Focused. Unshakable. I wasn't the girl who begged for love anymore. I was the woman who built a life without it. And eventually, I became the chief of trauma surgery. Yeah. The same girl they thought dropped out? Now running the entire department. Life was good. Not perfect. But real. I had a home. A husband who loved me. A life I built from nothing. But there's something they don't tell you about healing. You don't fully forget. There's always this small space inside you. Where the absence lives. Quiet. But permanent. And then one day. That past came knocking again. I was sitting in my kitchen with Ethan. Coffee in hand. Sunlight coming through the window. Normal morning. Then he said something. Something that made everything go still. "There's something I didn't tell you." My chest tightened. "What?" He hesitated. Careful. Measured. 2 years ago, someone contacted your old hospital. My grip tightened around the mug. About what? They were asking if your credentials were real, if you'd ever been in trouble, if your records were clean. Silence. Who? I asked. Even though I already knew. Ethan exhaled slowly. The trace came back to Columbus. My blood ran cold. She wasn't done. After everything. After 5 years. After destroying my life once. Chloe was still trying to prove I was a fraud. Still trying to rewrite my story. Still trying to erase me. But this time? I wasn't the same girl anymore. And a few months later, at 3:07 a.m., my pager went off, and the name on that trauma report? It was the moment my past finally caught up with me. 3:07 a.m. That's what the clock read when my pager went off. That sound? It doesn't scare me anymore. It doesn't stress me out. It activates me. Because in my world, that sound means someone is seconds away from dying. And it's my job to stop that. Level 1 trauma. Female. Mid-30s. Severe internal bleeding. ETA, 8 minutes. I was out of bed in seconds. Scrubs on. Hair tied. Mind already running scenarios. Car crash. Blunt force trauma. Possibly spleen. Liver. Internal hemorrhage. I'd done this 100 times. Maybe more. The roads were empty. Dark. Wet from rain. That kind of quiet that feels heavy. Like something's about to happen. By the time I reached the hospital, my team was already assembling. Residents. Nurses. Anesthesia. Everyone moving fast. Focused. I grabbed the intake tablet from the nurse's station. Swiped to the patient chart. And froze. Name, Chloe Reynolds. For a second, everything went silent. Not the hallway. Not the machines. Me. I wasn't the chief of trauma anymore. I wasn't a surgeon. I was that girl again. Standing in a hospital room. Phone in my hand. Listening to my father tell me, "Don't call this house again." 5 years. 5 years collapsed into one moment. Dr. Reynolds? My charge nurse, Linda, was standing next to me. Concern in her eyes. "You good?" I blinked. Forced myself back. Back into the present. Back into control. "I'm fine," I said. And I meant it. Because I had to be. Prep Trauma Bay 2. Call Dr. Patel, standby only. Protocol. Always protocol. The ambulance siren got louder. Closer. Closer. Then. The doors burst open. They rushed her in. Chloe. Strapped to a stretcher. Unconscious. Blood soaking through her clothes. Breathing shallow. Barely there. The paramedics were shouting numbers. BP dropping. Heart rate unstable. Massive internal bleed. And behind them? My parents. Running. Panicked. Broken. My mom looked different. Older. Weaker. My dad? He looked like someone had ripped the ground out from under him. "That's my daughter," he shouted. "I need to speak to the doctor in charge." The nurse stopped him. "Sir, the chief surgeon is already handling this." The chief. He didn't know. He had no idea. The person about to decide his daughter's fate was the same daughter he erased. I stood inside the trauma bay. Gloves on. Gown ready. And for a split second, just one, a thought crossed my mind. Walk away. Call someone else. Let another surgeon take over. Let him feel what it's like to depend on a stranger. Let him never know what I became. It would have been easier. Cleaner. But then I looked at the table. At the body. Not my sister. Not my past. Just a patient. Dying. And in that moment, I made a decision. Not as a daughter. But as a doctor. "I'm taking lead," I said. Scalpel. For the next 3 hours. I didn't see my sister, I saw a life slipping away, and when it was over, the person who saved her was the one she tried to destroy. 3 hours. 40 minutes. That's how long it took. 3 hours and 40 minutes of focus so sharp. It cut through everything. Blood. Damage. Chaos. A ruptured spleen. Severe liver laceration. Internal bleeding that should have killed her. But it didn't. Because my hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack. My mind didn't drift. I didn't see my sister. I saw a procedure. A responsibility. A life that needed saving. Clamp. Suction. Hold that, steady. My team moved with me. Like a machine. Precise. Controlled. Relentless. And when it got difficult. When the bleeding wouldn't stop. When one wrong move could have ended it. I didn't hesitate. Because this is who I became. Not because of my family. In spite of them. 6:48 a.m. I placed the final stitch. Vitals stable. Bleeding controlled. She was alive. I stepped back. Pulled off my gloves. Washed my hands. Slow. Methodical. Same routine. Every time. Except this time? My reflection in that stainless steel mirror looked different. Stronger. Colder. Clearer. Dr. Reynolds, Dr. Patel said quietly behind me. That was flawless. You want me to speak to the family? I dried my hands. Took a breath. No. My voice was calm. Steady. This one's mine. Because for 5 years, I didn't get a voice. Now, I had the only one that mattered. The walk to the waiting room felt longer than any surgery I'd ever done. Fluorescent lights. Quiet murmurs. The low hum of a TV no one was watching. And in the center of it all, my parents. Sitting side by side. Exhausted. Terrified. Waiting for answers. I pushed the door open. My dad stood immediately. That same instinct. Control. Authority. Doctor, how is she? Is my daughter? He stopped. Because he saw my face. Then his eyes dropped. To the badge on my chest. Dr. Ava Reynolds. Chief of Trauma Surgery. And I watched it happen. Recognition. Shock. Disbelief. Like a crack spreading through glass. My mom looked up next. Her lips parted. But no sound came out. Her hand grabbed his arm. Tight. Desperate. 5 seconds. That's how long we stood there. 5 years of silence. Packed into 5 seconds. I spoke first. Calm. Professional. Distant. Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds. Not mom. Not dad. Your daughter sustained severe internal injuries. A ruptured spleen and liver damage. The surgery was successful. She's stable and currently in ICU. Every word landed like weight. My dad's voice came out rough. Unsteady. You're a doctor? I am. The chief? I am. But Chloe said. I tilted my head slightly. What exactly did she say? Silence. Because now. He didn't know what was real anymore. My mom started crying. Not softly. Not controlled. We thought you dropped out, we thought you. You thought what she told you, I said evenly. No anger. No raised voice. Just truth. She told you I failed. That I ran away. That I abandoned you. My eyes didn't leave theirs. None of it was true. Behind me, I could feel it. The staff watching. Listening. Realizing. My dad tried to regain control. This isn't the time for this. I nodded. You're right. Then I stepped closer. Just enough. But it is the truth. Silence again. Heavier this time. Because truth doesn't need volume. It just needs presence. My mom whispered. You said you called. I called 14 times in 5 days. Her face broke. I sent emails. Documents. Proof. Tears streamed down her face. You sent my letter back unopened. That one? That one hit. Hard. My dad had nothing to say. For the first time in my life. Nothing. Then a nurse stepped in quietly. Doctor, ICU is ready. I nodded. Turned. Walked away. Didn't look back. Because for 5 years, I chased them. Now, they were the ones left standing. In the silence they created. But the real truth hadn't even come out yet, because when Chloe woke up, and my parents finally asked her what really happened, everything started collapsing. I didn't go to the ICU right away. I knew what was about to happen in that room. 5 years of lies. Don't just disappear. They break. Loud. Messy. Ugly. And for the first time, Chloe wouldn't be able to control the story. But I still had patience. Rounds to finish. Charts to sign. Because no matter what was happening in my personal life, the hospital didn't stop. And neither did I. It was almost 4 hours later when I finally walked into the ICU. Room 6. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. You know that kind of silence? The one that feels heavy. Like something already exploded. And you're just walking into the aftermath. I pushed the door open. Chloe was awake. Pale. Weak. Eyes glassy from medication. But awake. She turned her head slowly. And then she saw me. At first. Confusion. Then recognition. And then. Something I had never seen on her face before. Fear. Her eyes dropped to my badge. Then back to my face. Then back again. Like she was hoping it would change. Ava, she whispered. Her voice was rough. Broken. I stepped closer. Professional. Controlled. Good morning, Chloe. I'm your attending surgeon. Her breathing hitched. You're a doctor? Not shock. Not curiosity. A realization. I'm the chief of this department, I said calmly. Have been for 2 years. I watched it happen. Her entire version of reality started collapsing. Because if I was standing here, alive, successful, in control, then everything she told them was a lie. Her lips parted. Her eyes moved. Not to me. To the door. And that's when I noticed them. My parents. Standing outside. Watching. They had heard enough. I stepped slightly aside. Gave her a clear view. You don't need to explain anything to me, I said quietly. Then I nodded toward the door. You need to explain it to them. For the first time in her life, Chloe didn't have a script. I turned. Walked out. Didn't stay. Didn't listen. Because whatever happened next? It wasn't my fight anymore. But the walls in hospitals? They're thin. And truth? It's louder than people think. Voices started rising inside the room. Muffled at first. Then sharper. Is it true, my mom's voice? Shaking. Breaking. Chloe, answer me. Silence. Then. Crying. Loud. Forced. Dramatic. Mom. Dad. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Same pattern. Same performance. Even now. I was just trying to protect you. I was scared for her. I closed my eyes for a second. Of course. She wasn't confessing. She was adapting. Because that's what she always did. But this time? Something was different. Because my dad's voice came next. And I had never heard it like that before. Low. Cracked. Chloe, she's a surgeon. Silence. The chief, he added. Another silence. Longer this time. Because now. The lie wasn't just exposed. It was impossible. She said she called us, my mom whispered. She said she sent proof. She did, my dad said. And that's when everything shifted. Because for the first time in 5 years, they weren't questioning me. They were questioning her. But what finally destroyed Chloe's lie wasn't my words, it was something my aunt walked in with, and once my parents saw it, there was no going back. I was standing at the nurse's station, pretending to read a chart. But I wasn't reading anything. Every sound from that ICU room still echoing in my head. 5 years of silence. 5 years of questions. And now? Everything was finally coming out. But not because of me. Because truth has a way of finding its moment. I was about to walk away. Just leave it all behind. When I heard a voice. Ava? Soft. Familiar. I turned. And my breath caught. Aunt Melissa. She looked exactly the same. Warm eyes. Kind face. The only person in my family who ever really saw me before everything fell apart. She used to call me every week. Check on me. Encourage me. Until suddenly. She stopped. Back then, I thought. She chose them too. But the way she looked at me now? No. She stepped closer. Her eyes filling with tears. I've been trying to find you for years. My chest tightened. What? I never believed what Chloe said, she whispered. But your parents, they wouldn't listen. My heart started racing. I sent them everything, Ava. Everything? What do you mean? She opened her bag. Hands slightly shaking. And pulled out a folder. Thick. Worn at the edges. I printed your emails. Your documents. The leave approval. Even the hospital confirmation. My breath hitched. I mailed it to them. Twice. Twice. My stomach dropped. Because I already knew the answer. They said it was fake, she said quietly. Chloe told them you were manipulating people, forging things. Of course she did. She told them not to trust me either, Aunt Melissa added. And just like that. Everything made sense. Chloe didn't just lie. She controlled the narrative. Cut off every path that could expose her. Every voice that could defend me. She silenced. My hands clenched slightly. 5 years. 5 years of truth. Sitting in someone else's hands. Unopened. Ignored. Dismissed. A nurse walked past us. Heading straight into ICU. Family asked for you, she said to me. Of course they did. I looked at the folder in my aunt's hands. Then at the ICU door. And for the first time. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pain. I felt clarity. Come with me, I said. We walked into the room together. My parents were standing there. My mom's eyes were swollen from crying. My dad looked like he hadn't slept in days. Chloe? Silent. For once. All eyes turned to me. But I didn't speak. I stepped aside. And let Aunt Melissa walk forward. She placed the folder on the table. Slowly. Deliberately. What is this? My dad asked. Her voice didn't shake this time. The truth, she said. Silence. He opened it. Page after page. Emails. Documents. Proof. All dated. All real. All ignored. My mom covered her mouth. No, she whispered. My dad flipped faster now. Desperate. This can't be. But it was. Every piece of it. Right there. In his hands. And across the room? Chloe didn't say a word. Because for the first time, she had nothing left to twist. Nothing left to hide behind. Nothing left to say. And what my father did next, no one in that room was prepared for, because in one moment, he didn't just confront Chloe, he destroyed the version of reality she built. The room went silent. Not the kind of silence that feels calm. The kind that feels heavy. Like the air itself knows. Something is about to break. My dad stood there. That folder still open in his hands. Pages slightly shaking. 5 years of lies. Sitting right in front of him. 5 years of truth. That he chose not to see. My mom hadn't moved. Her hand still covering her mouth. Tears falling non-stop. And Chloe? She was watching him. Carefully. Waiting. Because even now, even after everything, she still believed she could control this. My baby, she said softly, her voice fragile, trembling. You don't understand? Stop. One word. That's all it took. My dad didn't raise his voice. Didn't shout. But something in that one word shut everything down. Chloe froze. I want the truth, he said slowly. Each word heavy. Measured. No stories. No excuses. Silence. For the first time in her life, Chloe had no script. I was just trying to protect you. I said the truth. His voice cracked this time. And that? That hit harder than anything. Because this wasn't anger. This was realization. This was regret. And regret? It cuts deeper than rage ever could. My mom finally spoke. Her voice barely holding together. You told us she dropped out. No response. You told us she ran away. Chloe's eyes flickered. You told us she lied to us. Silence again. My mom took a step closer. But she didn't, did she? And there it was. The moment. The truth. Standing right in front of the lie. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Her lips trembled. And then she broke. I didn't think it would go this far, she cried. I just didn't want to lose you. The words echoed in the room. My dad stared at her. You already did, he said quietly. That line? That was the end. Because it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was final. Chloe collapsed back into the bed. Crying harder now. Uncontrolled. Desperate. I was scared, she sobbed. She was taking everything. You were finally proud of her. What about me? There it was. Not protection. Not concern. Jealousy. Raw. Ugly. Real. You chose her, Chloe whispered. You were finally choosing her. And for the first time in my life, I saw her clearly. Not as the perfect daughter. Not as the golden child. But as someone who couldn't stand not being the center. My mom sank into the chair behind her. We lost her, she whispered. We lost Ava, for 5 years. Her voice broke completely. For nothing. That word hung in the air. Nothing. 5 years of silence. Pain. Loneliness. All because of nothing. My dad finally turned. And looked at me. Not through me. Not past me. At me. And in his eyes? I saw something I had never seen before. Not pride. Not expectation. Guilt. Pure. Unavoidable. He opened his mouth to speak. But no words came out. Because what do you say? When the damage is already done? And when he finally did speak, the words he chose didn't fix anything, but they changed everything between us forever. No one spoke. Not right away. Because some moments, they don't need words. They just sit there. Heavy. Unavoidable. My dad was still looking at me. Like he was trying to figure out how to talk to someone he hadn't spoken to in 5 years. How to face a daughter he chose to forget. His lips parted slightly. Closed again. Then finally. Ava. My name. It sounded unfamiliar coming from him. Like something he hadn't earned the right to say anymore. He started. Stopped. Tried again. I didn't know. 4 words. Simple. But they didn't land the way he thought they would. Because not knowing was the problem. You didn't want to know, I said quietly. My voice wasn't angry. That's what surprised them. It was calm. Steady. Detached. Because anger? That burns out. But this? This was something else. You didn't ask, I continued. You didn't call. You didn't check. You didn't even open the letters I sent. Every word was soft. But it hit harder than shouting ever could. My mom started crying again. We thought. I know what you thought, I said. And I did. Because I had lived with it. For 5 years. You thought I wasn't worth the truth. Silence. No one denied it. Because they couldn't. My dad looked down at the folder in his hands. Then back at me. We made a mistake. A mistake. That word almost made me laugh. 5 years of silence. Being cut off. Alone at my wedding. No family. No support. A mistake? No, I said gently. That wasn't a mistake. I took a small step forward. That was a choice. His face fell. Because deep down, he knew I was right. You chose to believe her, I said. You chose not to listen to me. My voice softened even more. And now, you have to live with that. My mom shook her head quickly. No, Ava, please, we can fix this. We can. No, I said again. Not louder. Just, final. Because here's the truth no one talks about. Not everything gets fixed. Not everything goes back to how it was. Some things? They end. And that's okay. I didn't come back for this, I continued. I didn't build my life waiting for you to realize the truth. I glanced at Chloe for a second. Still crying. Still broken. But no longer powerful. I moved on, I said. I built something without you. My dad's voice cracked again. Is there any way we can be part of that? That question. That was the one. The one every story usually ends with. Forgiveness. Reunion. Second chances. But real life? It's not always like that. I took a breath. And told the truth. I don't know. Because I didn't. And I wasn't going to lie. Just to make them feel better. I'm not angry anymore, I added quietly. But I'm not the same person either. That hit them. Hard. Because they were finally meeting me again. But I wasn't the daughter they remembered. I was someone new. Someone they didn't know. And maybe. Never would. I turned toward the door. Because this conversation? It was over. But right before I stepped out, my mom's voice stopped me. Soft. Broken. Are you happy? I paused. Just for a second. Then I answered. Yes. And for the first time in 5 years. That answer had nothing to do with them. I thought that was the end, but a week later, something unexpected happened, something that made me realize, closure doesn't always come the way you expect. A week passed. No calls. No messages. No dramatic attempts to fix everything overnight. And honestly? That felt right. Because healing isn't loud. It doesn't come with big speeches or sudden change. It comes quietly. Like space. Like distance. Like finally being able to breathe. Without waiting for someone to hurt you again. I went back to work. Same routine. Same hospital. Same long hours. Lives to save. Decisions to make. Because at the end of the day, that's who I am. Not someone's daughter. Not someone's sister. A surgeon. A woman who built herself. From nothing. And for the first time in a long time. My past wasn't chasing me. It was behind me. Then one evening, I came home late. Exhausted. Mentally drained. Ethan was in the kitchen. Cooking. Like always. He looked up and smiled. "You're late," he said. "Long day," I replied. He nodded. Didn't ask too many questions. That's what I loved about him. He didn't push. He didn't fix. He just stayed. I dropped my bag on the chair. And that's when I saw it. An envelope. On the table. No return address. But I already knew. I picked it up slowly. My name was written on it. Handwritten. Familiar. I sat down. For a second. I didn't open it. Because sometimes, not knowing feels safer than knowing. But then I exhaled. And opened it anyway. Inside. A letter. From my dad. Short. Simple. No excuses. No long explanations. Just words. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I see the truth now, and I see you. And I'm proud of you. Not for what you became. But for who you were, even when we failed you. I read it once. Then again. Slower this time. And something strange happened. It didn't break me. It didn't fix everything. It just settled something inside me. Like a door quietly closing. Not slammed. Not locked. Just closed. Ethan walked over. Sat beside me. "From them?" he asked gently. I nodded. "You okay?" I looked at the letter one more time. Then folded it. Carefully. "Yeah," I said. And I meant it. Because closure? It doesn't always come with reconciliation. It doesn't always come with people coming back. Sometimes. It comes with acceptance. With peace. With knowing. You survived something that was meant to break you. And it didn't. I stood up. Placed the letter in a drawer. Not hidden. Not displayed. Just where it belonged. In the past. And then I walked back into the kitchen. Into my life. The one I built. The one no one could take from me. Sometimes the people who break you don't get to see the person you become, and sometimes that's exactly how the story is meant to end. 3 months later. Spring had settled into the city. The kind of soft warmth that makes everything feel lighter. I was standing on the hospital rooftop. Coffee in hand. Wind brushing gently against my face. Below me. The city was alive. Cars moving. People rushing. Life happening. And for once, I wasn't thinking about the past. Not the lies. Not the silence. Not the years I lost. Just now. Footsteps approached behind me. "You always come up here when you need to think." I smiled slightly. Didn't turn around. "Not anymore," I said. Ethan stepped beside me. We stood there quietly for a moment. Comfortable silence. "You seem different," he said. I nodded. "I am." Because something had changed. Not around me. Inside me. For years. I thought closure meant getting answers. Getting apologies. Getting people to finally understand. But I was wrong. Closure isn't about them. It's about you. About reaching a point where their actions no longer control your peace. Where their absence doesn't feel like a wound anymore. Just a fact. Neutral. Distant. Manageable. I got another letter, I said quietly. Ethan glanced at me. And? I didn't open it. He didn't ask why. Because he already knew. Some chapters don't need to be reread. They just need to stay closed. I took a sip of my coffee. You know what the craziest part is? I said. What? For years. I thought I wasn't enough. My voice was calm. Not sad. Not angry. Just honest. I thought I had to prove something. Earn something. Become something, just to be seen. I let out a small breath. But I was always enough. That truth? It felt freeing. Because it changed everything. Not what happened. But how it lived inside me. Ethan smiled softly. I've been telling you that since day one. I smiled back. Yeah. I just finally believe it now. We stood there a little longer. Watching the sunset dip behind the skyline. Golden light stretching across the buildings. And for a moment, everything felt still. Peaceful. Whole. Not perfect. But real. And that was enough. Because in the end, I didn't need them to see me. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their version of the truth. I had my own. And it was stronger than anything they ever took from me. I turned away from the edge. Ready to go back inside. Back to my life. But just before I stepped through the door, I paused. Not because I was stuck. But because I realized something. For the first time in years. There was nothing left to go back to. Only forward. And that? That felt like freedom. Some people lose you because of lies, but the real loss is theirs, because one day, you become someone they'll never have access to again. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think about your own family, your own boundaries, or someone you've lost and found, leave me a comment. And if you want more stories like this, check the description for one I think you'll love just as much. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.